So today we have Elena Sobleva,
Hello.
right?
Yes.
Did I say that correctly?
You said it right.
Perfect, perfect. We're going to be touching on, a little bit about your history and your journey, and I'm excited to kind of dive into it. It's an incredible story from what I've learned so far, and I'm excited to learn a little bit more. Currently, you're a self-development coach, right? And social media brand developer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about that? What exactly you're doing currently?
Yeah. Well, I'm actually working with entrepreneurs, helping them with their personal brand and with their mindset.
Okay.
Because those two goes hand to hand.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I work with primarily women entrepreneurs and really helping them to reconnect with themselves, with their why, and based on that, really build an aligned personal brand.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you just didn't start doing that right away. I'm sure there's been a couple career changes along the way, right? A couple up and downs along the way. Why don't let's rewind a little bit and kind of give me a little bit about your backstory. Where are you originally from?
Yeah. Well, actually, I was born and raised in Russia.
Okay.
In Siberia.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's why I moved to Siberia now.
Yeah, exactly.
I immigrated to the United States when I was 21. And honestly, it was never planned. It was really kind of a decision that I had to make on the spot. I was like, hey, do you want to come to the United States? And I was like, all right. Interesting that my path really was truly an up and down kind of path. I was a wellness influencer. When I moved to the United States, the first couple of years was obviously tough. I didn't speak English.
Okay.
I came here with $500 and I did not know anyone, a single soul.
For those who don't know, talk about wellness influencer. What exactly is that?
Yeah. Well, I just, the reason I got into it is I just wanted to feel healthy, and I just started going to the gym. Didn't have any experience in working out or even ever thought of competing or doing any of this. And the first moment I stepped into the gym, literally I felt this is something.
Yeah.
I just felt it, right? And from that, I started going to the gym. I started working out. I ended up meeting a coach. And one time he just challenged me, and he was jokingly saying, hey, do you want to compete in bodybuilding? I was like, you crazy? Me, bodybuilding? I just literally learned how to squat. What are you talking about? And he kind of, he just wanted to challenge me, and I ended up entered my first competition, and I won.
Nice.
And from that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna do fitness full time, whatever it takes. And at the same time, Instagram was on a rise, and I started my Instagram account, and I just documented everything that I was doing. I was taking pictures of my food, my competitions, like all that stuff that I was going through. I was just posting on Instagram, and somehow I blew up. My Instagram blew up. I really quickly gained over 150,000 followers. And I got a personal trainer certification. I kept competing. And the crazy thing for me, it didn't click for me because I was an immigrant girl who still barely spoke English. And all of a sudden, all these American brands are reaching out to me, want to work with me. It was a big, I call it quantum leap moment when I had to really quickly grow up. And I started traveling around the United States, working at fitness conventions. I go to Olympia every year. That was like a wow moment for me, all because of my Instagram. Yeah. And I didn't realize how I was building that brand, but just being myself.
Right.
On top of that, I was, Russian girl with an accent, and people loved it. And for me, my accent was actually always like, oh, I don't know how to speak English. It was a really something that I was really shy away from, but it actually helped me to build my brand. So and that I ended up became a fitness influencer. And one day I moved to Chicago. It was really on a spot decision. I just felt like I wanted to be in a big city. Booked one-way flight, came here to become a personal trainer. And Chicago welcomed me definitely with an open heart and open hands.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, once you got here, that was when you got to Florida, right? Mm-hmm. But the journey to Florida wasn't that easy for you, right?
Yeah. Well, when I came to Florida, because I was a student. I was here on a student visa. And Florida at that time was the place for me to be because I had job there.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's why I was like, okay, it's going to be Florida. And after I got my papers and everything, I was able to really decide where I want to go, and Chicago was on the list.
And why was Chicago your destination?
It was more of a heart calling moment.
Okay.
I've been to Chicago only one time prior to move, and it was something that I just felt good. I loved the city. It was just vibrant and beautiful. The lake was incredible. And when I decided to move, I was actually in a relationship.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, we're going to move together. It's going to be great. But he decided not to. And I was like, I'm following my heart. Right. I booked one-way flight and I came here. And I never looked back ever since. It was the best decision I ever made.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned to me that part of your businesses are helping empower women, right? You also have another brand. It's called the Everboss.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, Everboss actually was born in a coffee shop with my girlfriend, and we're both entrepreneurs. It was 2 years ago. I was working on my marketing agency. She was working on her business. And we would just get together every day, like almost every day in a coffee shop, just work on our stuff. And one day we were like, hey, how cool would that be if we would have women just like us, who's entrepreneurs, who's ambitious, who's love, freedom style kind of lifestyle, sitting at the same table and just brainstorm and talk. So we realized that we didn't have any people like us in our lives. So we decided to start our first meetup.
Okay.
We just announced the meetup on a meetup platform, and 10 people showed up, 10 women show up. And all of them were just same exact vibe. They were into entrepreneurship, mindfulness, and we're like, wow, we into something here.
Yeah.
And from that is just, we just hosted our 53rd meetup.
Okay.
So it's amazing.
Wow.
I've met over hundreds and hundreds of women entrepreneurs, and that led us into creating that community. Our community Everboss is all about connection and mindful approach to business.
Okay.
And as a woman just as an entrepreneur, I believe that entrepreneurship, it's truly a self-development course.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
like
absolutely.
and that's why we're providing tools for women for self-development, for mindfulness, spirituality, everything, any other tools like outside business tools, like the normal tools that you would use. We like to bring it to our community. We do in-person meetups, events. We have an online community now. So it's just a great place for women to connect, find each other, just not feel alone on this journey. Yeah.
And that's basically for any type of entrepreneur, any woman who's looking to aspire and grow her personal brand or business, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome. Now, let's talk about that, right? Personal branding. How crucial is it for an entrepreneur to really, focus on their personal brand, especially now in the age of social media?
Yeah.
Like, what would you say?
Yeah, I think right now it's one of the most important thing that people need to focus on, right? And I personally experienced that when I was a fitness influencer, right? And I built the platform, and the whole time I thought that I was focusing on building following. Yeah. And I didn't realize that I was building a brand. Yeah. And actually in 2020, my account got hacked and stolen.
Okay. Yeah.
And I lost everything. I lost my following, sponsorship, like everything. I was like, okay, I lost myself.
Yeah. How many followers did you have?
I had 157,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but the funny thing, what happened right after that, I started getting emails from people. And they're like, where are you? What's going on? Why are you not Instagram? And the light bulb just turned on. I realized this whole time I was building a brand. I was building a name for myself, like my personal brand through fitness, but it was still me. So when I started a new account, people just follow back. I was doing a completely different thing. I turned into marketing instead of fitness, but people were following me for me. So I think for entrepreneurs, building a personal brand, it's really a place for personal brand will allow you to pivot.
Right.
Because you know how business are. Sometimes we lose business, we start a business, like you never know how life could change and how we change. But I think what's always going to be with you is personal brand.
Yeah, that's so great. I mean, and it makes a lot of sense too, because, you were really heavy into, the fitness. And I think too, as we grow up, as adults, and we just are different in different places in our lives. You kind of saw an opportunity to take what you built in one aspect of social media and your marketing and your brand, and just kind of parlay that into something bigger. Maybe your ultimate dream could be maybe. Yeah. So what would you say are like some common mistakes entrepreneurs make when they're trying to establish the brand that we've been talking about, right?
I think the first thing is that they're trying to be like someone else. And they take someone else's success and try to fit it in. Same thing, like you put a dress on and it doesn't fit you, but you're trying, you're really trying. And at some point it could work for some time. But then I think at some point it is not only people going to feel your vibe, that it's not truly authentically you.
Yeah.
And then it's not going to work. Another thing that I see people doing, they are really shying away from who they are. Or they are not afraid, but they just like don't truly translate who they are offline into an online space. And I meet so many cool people. They're like funny, they're hilarious. I go to the Instagram and it's just like blah.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think people do, they're very disconnected from themselves.
Okay.
And when it comes to and that's why I believe personal branding, it's also a self-development. Because when you're connected with yourself personally, with your goals, with your values, with your aspirations and dreams, you become magnetic.
Yeah.
You attract people because you're so aligned with who you are. And I think so many people now live in misalignment. And it translates. And that's why they think oh, why this, marketing tactic didn't work? Man, because you got to work on something else,
Yeah, no, that makes so much sense. You said something, that stuck out, right? You said authentic, okay? And one of the things that we teach, especially me teaching some of the younger guys, is that when we're constantly interacting with clients, and when we interact with them, you want to be professional, right? You want to put on this good face and say, I'm a professional real estate agent, and show them that you can do the job, but then you're not being yourself, right? And because you're not being authentic to who you are, you realize that you're maybe not connecting with people the way you should. And it could cause you to lose business, maybe being too professional, right? So, I found that, you have to give people a little bit more of yourself and let them see, like you said, the other side of you. And then they'll say yeah, he's just like me, or she's just like me, and I can relate. And then they want to connect with you. They want to do business with you. So for personal branding, let's go back to that. Now, why do you feel like being authentic, or just authenticity, is going to be so important? And how would that propel your business if you can remain authentic to what you're trying to do?
I think exactly to what you said. When you become authentic, you not only become true to yourself, but also you attract like-minded people, right? Like when you know yourself so well, you're proud of who you are, and it shows, right? And also, and I think it's more of we as a people, as humans, we are really multidimensional. And I think this is exactly what we need to translate in everything that we do, right? And the same thing, people attract to people, right? Like there is going to be hundreds of real estate agents with better experience or more sales behind their back, but are they going to be having that interest, right? Or have that point of view on life? I think that's exactly what connects you with the clients, right? Or with the colleagues, is those things that you can translate, those things that makes you unique. It's not your accomplishments or your experiences. It's truly you and your outlook on life. Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know that you said you're doing the rebrand and realign for women. What about the men? They don't get any love? What's going on with that? I love my men, but it's actually interesting. I've never worked with men in that program. The reason why, because I actually use, when I work with my woman, I use a lot of different tools and instruments.
Okay.
I use astrology, human design, every other tool except, the traditional tools that we
Right.
think of branding and all that stuff. And for some reason, what I come across, men are not really open to those kind
okay.
of things. I had one person that I worked with, one man. He was my good friend, and I was kind of just help him out a little bit with his business and brand. And when I put him on a chair and like, okay, now we're gonna meditate, we're going deep. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm gonna have to just sit quiet? I was like, yeah. We're just meditating for a second.
Yeah.
He was shocked. And just because, and again, now I see a lot more people are become more awake and more open to different modalities. But for some reason, women are a lot more open to those experiments and to see different perspectives and use different tools. And men they're not ready to open up just yet.
Close-minded to it. Yeah. And I guess, you're also able to help, your clients, see what's worked for you, right? And if you're kind of walking them through a system that, is like your blueprint, it's like, you got to do what I'm showing you. Otherwise you're not going to get the results that I'm trying to get for you. Yeah, absolutely. So, can you share some strategies for effective building, personal brand building? Like just, a couple of strategies that you've seen with maybe one of your clients or just you in general that you've seen that really works to build your personal brand?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it's really, it's setting up your goals. Okay. It's like knowing what's your big picture. What do you want?
Yeah.
And a lot of the times what I see, some of my clients, when they come to me, they have very close-minded goals, I would say. They're like, oh, I just want to have followers on Instagram. Okay, why? Yeah. Right? Like, why do you want to have more followers? Do you want to sell your products? Do you want to become famous? Do you want to be popular? Like, do you want to just feel validated? Understanding your why, understanding the reason why you do whatever it is that you want to do. I think this is the first thing that I do with my clients is really helping them to see a big picture. Okay. And I do this through just diving deeper through hypnosis, meditations, and things like that. And it's surprisingly, sometimes when they come to me for one thing, we end up uncovering so many different things that they actually want. And it happens to be like, oh, I actually don't want to do what I do now. I want to speak on stage. I want to have a podcast. Like there's totally different things that they thought they want. So just knowing your big picture vision and then setting up a really clear path to get there. And then from there, I really like, again, go dive deeper into personality. I call it like a personality unpacking. And I love stories of people. I love going deeper into stories of like, tell me the juice. And so people are like, oh, I don't have any stories. But there's so many things that you came through. And because I have so many stories literally on any topic, and we can talk about that. But that's why I was like, I love really helping people see their life truly as a book. And then we go through each chapter, and that each chapter in their life somehow shifts them and mold them and change them. And that's what I do. And then I use those stories into their branding because everyone has stories. Yeah. And after we do that, now let's go into nitty-gritty and more with technical things of like content strategy, right? I also like to create, help people to have a really aligned way of creating content, because this is something that a lot of people think like, oh, I'll just need to sit in front of a camera and talk. Everyone's so different. Yeah. And that's what I realized actually through modalities like human design, for example, where everyone has a different way of creating. And when you realize that and you know what's your way of creating, for example, my way of creating is storytelling. That's why I love use storytelling in my content, literally just telling everything that happened to me instead of being educational and just being like, oh, you should do this. There's a fact about a marketing. So really, that's why every element of a personal brand I take and I really mold it and shift it personally to a person. And then again, going back to marketing, it's all about consistency, right? Showing up consistently, choosing one platform and just really going all in with it. Yeah. I think this is just like a fundamental.
Yeah. Speaking of storytelling, so as I was going through your social media, again, one of the things that we talk about a lot in real estate is you have to, get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? It's such a cliche way to say it, but it's so true, right? We talk about it all the time. If you're not doing the things that people don't want to do, those are the things that are going to get you to where you want to go, right? There was one video you posted, maybe you can just tell me about it, is when you were on the train. That was a pretty funny video, but yeah, can you share that with me again? Just what got you to do it, and what was your overall experience doing it?
The idea of the train. So just to recap, the video was about me going on a train. Actually, not only in a train, in the city, in downtown Chicago.
Okay.
I walked around and I was just screaming, hey, I'm a social media a mentor and I'm helping people. And for me, it was really just, at first it was really unplanned. I was like, okay, I want to make a video that is potentially could be viral.
Right.
Me in the middle of the city talking, right, in the middle of the crowd. But when I was standing in the middle of the crowd, I realized how uncomfortable and scary it is. Yeah. And not only I overcame my own fear, even though I've done public speaking, I love making videos, like no problem at all. But when you're in the middle of a crowd and no one knows you and you don't know if someone's gonna be like, hey, shut up.
Yeah, it's a big difference. Yeah, for sure.
And but something, honestly, when I was standing there, something like, I guess I would say my higher self was like, what a big deal. That's not that scary.
Yeah.
Nobody even cares, truly. And, when I got on a train and then just like shouted out in a crowd of like, hey, my person, like, whatever I said, no one even reacted. No one really cared.
Yeah.
And that really, I made that video not only to overcome my own fears of just putting myself out there no matter what, but also show my followers. And that's what I love doing, just encourage my followers to do, to really show up. And as a result of it, it didn't go viral, but I got so many DMs and comments and from people being like, oh my God, thank you so much for encouraging me. Like, it was amazing. Yeah. And the goal was accomplished.
Yeah. You got a lot of good videos like that. So you also mentioned too, how you help your clients, kind of align themselves and figure out, where they're currently at and then where they're trying to go. Right, you made a switch, right? You made a switch from the personal training to the, fitness influencer to now more of the branding coach, right? What got you to make that switch? And I guess when did the light bulb go off and say, hey, this is my calling. This is what I need to do.
Well, first of all, I always look at every difficult situation in my life, any losses, any pivots as really as redirection. Okay. A lot of people, I have a very positive outlook on life. And a lot of the times people will be like, okay, I'm giving up now. I was like, oh no, for me, I'm just redirecting.
Yeah.
So that's first thing for me, helped me really just change this mindset of, okay, it's not bad, it's just different. But truly, the awakening moment for me was I did a plant medicine retreat.
Okay.
With ayahuasca.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I went deep.
Yeah.
And I was, I had a marketing agency. I was working with, businesses in the city. It was great. It was 6-figure business. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel right. Okay. It was just something that was off, and I didn't know what it was. I was like, maybe I should change to different services. What do? I don't know. And I had a chance to go to Costa Rica, and I went there. And it was, a transformative trip for sure.
Yeah.
And that's where I found all my messages of being like, okay, what do I really want to do? And one of the messages that came to me throughout this journey was I saw myself as a leader of a community, of a tribe. It was like really like, tribal kind of thing. And I was like, what is it? And the second message came to me, burn your business to the ground. And I was like, and it was like visions of ashes.
Yeah.
I was like, what? What is, I'm even getting goosebumps telling you this story right now, like I'm reliving it. I was like, what do you mean? I came back home to Chicago. And literally I believe everything happens for a reason. First corporate client not cancel, finish their contract and didn't sign up again. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Another client, same. Another client again. And I was just like, and then I had lost more client left, and I was like, I'm gonna tell them. Actually, that was Steven and Stephanie. And I told them, like, I'm sorry guys, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm into something different. I did not know what I'm gonna do. I had no idea what direction I'm taking. I just said no to a 6-figure business. And now I'm like starting from scratch again. But I had this deep feeling, desire of like, okay, I'm just gonna follow whatever is in front of me right now. And as crazy as it's always happened, I started women reaching out to me like, hey, do you do coaching? Hey, do you help with this? Hey, do you do with this? And all of a sudden I totally shift into the working with women entrepreneurs, first of all, offering a one-on-one coaching. At that time, I didn't really find my program or anything like that. I was just, yes, saying yes to everything. Then my community, Everboss, started growing. And that's led me into what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. I just want to hear a little bit more about the ayahuasca. Ooh. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? That's, out of everything you said, that stuck out of my head. I'm sorry. I'm curious to know a little bit more about that as far as like, how that all worked, like the experience, more than just...
For me, they say that, ayahuasca journey, it's like a 10 years of therapy in one night. And it truly was. I, at that time, prior to the ceremony, I actually already was kind of onto the self-development journey. I already worked with a therapist for just 6 months, and she just helped me to uncover something that I didn't know I have. And since I stepped into the self-development journey, doors just started opening, right? And I'm the kind of person who is, if it feels right, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then when the opportunity with the ayahuasca presented to me, this medicina finds you.
Okay.
And it found me literally from just, here's an opportunity, you want to do it. Coming to the ceremony, I actually did 3 on a spare of like 2 years.
Okay.
And every ceremony was completely different. But it was, every time there was like a little plant seed in my head. The really, really first ceremony was very gentle. I didn't see, how like maybe if you Google it, you like going crazy, tripping and all that. Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. But the only 2 visions it was just a visions. It's literally like an expensive nap. And you really interpretate those visions as you need to. Okay. At that specific time of your life. And for me, I only had my first ceremony. I had 2 visions. That first vision was my heart, and my heart was just had rust. Like it's just rusty, and the spiders like it was just, for me, it was an interpretation of that. My heart was so closed off. Okay. And the second vision that I had was an egg. And an egg had like a little crack. I had no idea what it means, but again, I interpreted it as it's just the beginning. Okay. Right? The egg is cracking.
Like it's hatching.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, so the second ceremony was like 6 months later. In this whole 6 months prior to the second ceremony, I was like, okay, well, if it shows me my heart was closed, I got to work on that. Right. I have to do, whatever it takes for me to open my heart. And that's how I started doing meditations. I got into, energy healing and Reiki and all that stuff, any modality, any tools that I could possibly use to open my heart more. And I don't know if you are into, because sometimes what I say maybe sounds crazy for people. I don't know how your audience is responding to that. But.
No, and it's interesting. I'm into meditation. I've had never done Reiki, so that's something that I haven't tried. But I'm definitely, would like to do more meditation.
Yeah. I call myself a hybrid woman because, like, you never know that I'm like, can purge in a bucket in the middle of the jungle, and I'm already here sitting in a suit. But yeah, second ceremony was a lot more awakening. That was when I got actually a lot more insights on my business and
Yeah.
like everything that I need to do. And final ceremony was really awakening on understanding how the world works.
Yeah.
You know, like just how everything connected, the energy and like all that stuff. That's why I'm really big into intuition and just like following my heart and being aligned with what you do. But truly, it's a very this whole journey of plant medicine is very it's a shadow work. It's dark.
Yeah.
It gets you deep. It shows you things that you need to work on. And that's the thing about many people, that we are so afraid to go deep and dark. And I think actually a lot of people went into that space during COVID.
Yeah.
They went deep and dark, right? And that's what plant medicine does for you. It's really just shows you the light. It shows you love.
Yeah.
It shows you unconditional love that is very, very, not everyone's talking about it now in this society. It's truly how to unconditionally love everything and what you do and the people around you, because we are just conditioned for everything.
Do you think that some people are just scared to go dark?
Yeah.
And just really like look inside themselves and just maybe they're just not ready to face what reality has for them?
Yeah.
Is that where you're?
Yeah,
what you
it's
mean?
scary. It's
Yeah.
scary. But you know what I believe? I also believe that even if it's very scary, the people who are afraid to go in, they're going to be constantly facing the external mirrors.
Yeah.
People going to come into their life. There's going to be a mirror. The situation's going to happen. It's going to be a mirror. Until it's truly the point, they got to the point where like, okay, I need to look in at least. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I just keep seeing mirrors.
Yeah. Do you think that would affect like your experience if you were just kind of maybe I wouldn't say closed off, because obviously if you went through the experience, then you have to be open-minded to it. But maybe if you're not fully like letting go, maybe you won't have the right experience. Or I mean,
Yeah.
is that what happened?
Exactly. Because you know what? The biggest challenge for me was actually at my really first ceremony, my ego came. And they're like, oh, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And my ego was like, okay, we need to see the visions. We need to see this. We need to uncover that.
Yeah.
And nothing's happening. I'm just napping. I'm just
Yeah.
laying there and just like, what's going on? And that's the thing about our mind. Our mind is so powerful. But it's our decisions of, are we letting our mind control everything in our life? And that's another thing that happens a lot when I work with women, and it's people in general. When I speak to them, so many of us are just controlled by our mind and
Yeah.
never really we disconnected from what we truly want and feel and want and
Yeah.
know, because all our answers that we ever have, it's inside of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Like that's definitely an awesome story, and I would like to hear more about that later. Now, to kind of pivot a little bit and get back to obviously what we were on topic for. Knowing now that in our society that we're in, everyone knows like attention is like the new currency, right? So, I guess what are you telling entrepreneurs, or how are you helping them stand out and differentiate themselves with their competitors? Like what is the main takeaway you can give someone who's trying to build their brand and just stand out and just grow their brand?
I think first of all is choose the platform. First of all, whichever platform you feel the most aligned sharing content on. And I sometimes when I see some content that just goes viral and it's just like the most random thing that
Yeah.
happened, I'd be really honest with you. I've done it before, right? I know what goes viral and I do it. And then I got a flux of followers, but none of those followers converted into leads
Yeah.
or into clients, right? It just messed up my algorithm,
Yeah.
So I think to really stand out, again, going back to just own who you are, like find the things that you really, really like. Let's say you have a couple passions that you like and start translating that. Even if you're a real estate agent, maybe you into golf or you are into something. What is outside of real estate that you like doing, or wherever outside of your niche that you like doing, and start incorporating that into your content.
Yeah.
And again, also, pay attention to trends, right? Like, I mean, I know social media changing all the time, so it's really hard to catch up with it. But also sometimes implement certain, viral or interesting topics and conversations into what you do. Going broader sometimes in a topic also could be something to like refresh your, content.
Yeah.
But I think when you find like experiment as much as you can until you find your own flow and until you find your own way of presenting the message, and make it unique to you. At first, you can totally, take some other people's content and kind of like recreate that, but then eventually find your own flow and find your own style.
Yeah. Yeah. It goes back to, like you said before, like being authentic, and once you have to put out content that feels good to you.
Yeah.
And if you're forcing your content or if it just doesn't feel right, like you said, you're putting on a suit and it doesn't fit. And, eventually you're just going to have to take it off, and try something different. Now, kind of touching on the same topic, what are I guess some of the effective ways for entrepreneurs to engage with their audience and build a loyal following? Like what would you think are like some of the main ways that someone can do that?
I mean, first of all, is being consistent. And whatever consistency looks to you, right? If you are consistent and post 3 times a week for a year, that's consistency, right? Because what people see on social media, first of all, people forget about you really quickly, unfortunately, right? That's why
true.
It's like we always have to put, whatever you call it, things in a. Tell me to keep up the fire going.
I know what you're saying. You throw another log in the fire.
Yeah, because I mean, again, people's lives are busy, right? And that's why you competing with so many people on social media. But the only way that you can win if you you be the most consistent. When I was growing my fitness page, I post every single day for 4 years at 12 p.m.
Okay.
It doesn't matter what I do. I'm tired. I'm not tired. I'm at work. Always post at 12 p.m. Right? So whatever consistency is for you, because what happens in the end, when people see you always showing up, they feel like they can trust you, right? If they always seeing you over and over again, and they see what's happening in your life, right? Like being that transparent. And I'd also think you don't have to share everything about your life. There's definitely people who do that, and it turns into more of a Kardashian show on their Instagram stories. You don't have to do that. Choose the things that really, that you want to share, that really mean something. And also, I think, have a real engagement, like real conversations, right? Like ask real questions, go into your DMs and actually respond to people or engage with people. Because, I mean, as much as cliche as it sounds, social media is social media, right? And a lot of the times, and I'm guilty in that too sometimes, I post a piece of content, I'm kind of like, okay, so we'll see, now people are going to comment, right? And someone's commented and I don't go back to it on time, because the thing is about people on social media, your fans, right, your audience, we all want to be recognized. And when someone's leaving a comment on your page, not only they took a time of their day to do that, but they want to be seen.
They want to engage with you.
Yeah. You got to show them, hey, I see you. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. So, one of the things that, I just personally feel like with, me being in real estate is just kind of what you mentioned, right? Just letting people in, and just letting them get to see another side of me and not just the real estate, because I think it helps with being relatable and just being able to connect with my audience. How can entrepreneurs leverage their personal stories and experiences to strengthen their business in your opinion? Like, what would be a way to do that?
I think personal stories would be definitely just going back, look at your life and be like, okay, what is the situation or experiences that I've had in my life that somehow shift me, changed me, or maybe I got some insight from it. Because the thing is about when we start telling real stories about our life that really happened to us, to our clients, to our friends, doesn't matter. The point of it is get an interesting story and actually have an outcome from that story, right? Then people are a lot more connected to experiences that you've lived versus the facts that you're telling them.
Yeah.
Because now it's immediate emotional connection, right? It's immediately, I'm going to remember your story way more than the fact that you told me, right? And that just also, when people hear your stories, it feel like, okay, he lived through this story. That means he can help me, or that means he knows, he has an experience, right? And that's why, like, I think any story could be a story. Anything, absolutely anything. It could be connected. Again, what I believe, there's stories to share on social media about ourselves as humans. The stories that shows our values, right? What do we stand for? There's also stories that shows us as an expert, right? It's not only all about what happened to me and who I am, but it's also, hey, I am the expert. That's why I love when people share stories about their clients, right? Like something real, something relatable. And I think that's where, and I think this is where a lot of people struggle with content ideas. If you're going to just tell stories, you're never going to run out of content ideas because things happening into your life all the time, right? From your childhood until now. Yeah. So I think just tapping into those moments.
Yeah. Now, before I let you go, why don't you give me like one success story, like either with yourself or with a client, something that, basically, you did along the way that you were able to kind of implement whatever strategies that you have for yourself or for one of your clients that really made an impact on their business and their brand.
I have so many.
I'm sure you do.
But one of my recent clients, actually, her name is Maria, and she's a makeup artist. And she's been a makeup artist for many years. Great experience, everything. So she came to me really with, she was feeling lost. I was like, I don't know what's my next step in my career. I don't know what I'm going to do. And, we kind of stepped back. First of all, we figured it out. What does she want to do? Where she wants to get to? And surprisingly, after doing some practices on her, she realized that she wants to be a celebrity makeup artist.
Okay.
She's like, I want to work with celebrities. I was like, we'll make it happen. So what we did, we fully rebranded her website, her Instagram, to make it look more relatable to a celebrity level. But also she was very kind of shy. She's a very shy girl, really talented. But we set a goal for her that she needs to get to a celebrity level somehow. So what we did, she actually found a contest for makeup artists.
Okay.
And she entered it. And, after we did practices on her, just on her confident level, so she can feel confident and worthy of that kind of level of potential success. Guess what? She won a contest. It was an online contest. You submit your work. So what she actually won a day with one of her favorite makeup artists, the Patrick P. I'm not into makeup, but he's like, I guess, big in LA and like in the makeup world. And she won, obviously the financial prize and a whole day with him in LA. She flew there, spent a day with him and like learn all about makeup. And like now she knows what's her next step is. For me, that was such a beautiful story of success. Not only, the stuff that she achieved, but also she was able to believe in herself. When she aligned what she wants with her actions, she got immediate result.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why this is my, I have so many stories like that. When you truly like align with what you want, okay, let's get you a little on the plan. Let's, sprinkle some magic of branding. Put a little content that fits your goals and desires, and now you're off to go to achieve that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Elena, I really appreciate you taking time to sit down with me today. You really dropped a lot of good nuggets, and hopefully, people who are listening will get a lot out of it. That's the whole goal, right? Is to just really kind of educate and just really bring awareness to what you're doing and just really trying to just give back, right? Yeah. Why don't you give me a rundown of your businesses and where you're able to reach you, and I'll make sure we add the links in the video.
Yeah. You can find me on Instagram, elenasoboleva.es. All my services, I do personal branding mentorship, and I also do a done for you services too. If you don't want to go deep, we can just make the magic happen too. On my website, elenasoboleva.com.
Awesome. Yeah. Elena, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Right, take care. Good? All right.
That was smooth.
Wasn't bad. Wasn't bad.
It was good.
You're
It
smooth.
was good.
Like, she's good, right?
I think you both are.